The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
We've done a lot of odd shows over the years. I think that's what we're known for, Michael, is doing odd shows. This might be the oddest, though. We're doing a show in the midst of a pandemic with the NHL shut down, and we will talk about all of the ramifications, all the planning, all the possibilities. We'll try to have some fun. We might even talk about, what might even follow up on that Twitter theme of the 5 worst jobs you've ever had. Michael and I have both had some really bad jobs, but we'll try to talk some hockey too. And we'll try to have some fun and provide a distraction in these times. We do want to thank all the sponsors who have made this possible. Tin Shed, Twill, Grey Duck, Fixology, and Tony Hoagland. I'll tell you more about them later. Please subscribe at your favorite podcast app to either Talk North or to this show. It's the best way to listen. You can also find this show, all the other shows, our new outdoor content, and our archives at talknorth.com. Follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod. And thanks to our producer, Brandon Morton. All right, Michael, we'll just start here. Very interesting. Lavelle Neal in the Star Tribune today had a piece talking to the Twins bosses where they actually became, I think, the first people to say, you know what, we might not be playing until next April, which falls in line with some health experts saying this could be an 18-month slog to get through this. What are you hearing from the NHL and the Wild, and what are your expectations at this point?
Well, I mean, my expectations are different than what the league is saying. Right now the league is making it extremely clear that they would love to figure out a way to finish the season. Like you just said, I mean, I don't see how that's even humanly possible. The state of California is on a stay-at-home warning. Governor Cuomo in New York just put his state on pause. There's a lot bigger things right now going on in sports, and if a state is on pause for an indefinite amount of time, how are you going to be able to get 3 professional hockey teams, let alone the basketball teams and baseball teams in there to start playing, and who you're playing in front of and things like that? So, I mean, there does come a point where there's got to be a drop dead date. And right now everything is completely unknown. And this is not just going to end magically in a week. I mean, I saw Laura Ingraham put out a tweet today saying, the American people need to know when this is going to end. And I mean, this isn't going to, I mean, how dumb can you be, right? Yeah, it's going to end March 27th at 8 a.m., Laura. Just magically, the pandemic's going to disappear. It just, this is completely unknown. And so for the professional sports landscape, if the Twins are really saying that they might not play till April, then obviously there's going to be no hockey. And for at least the end of this season. And there just comes a point in the summer where you just can't play anymore. I mean, what are you going to do here? They're modeling all sorts of things, but, they've now told players that they can return to their homes. Now, a lot of the Wild European guys, actually all of them, have so far stayed in town because they don't want to fly back to Finland or fly back to Sweden. And then all of a sudden the season is on and they got to figure out a way to come back in here. If perchance the one thing that hasn't changed is our crackdown on flying into the country. So a lot of these guys are sticking around, but let's say they do go back. I mean, what are they doing to get ready for the rest of the season? If you have, say, a play-in scenario for a couple of the non-playoff teams, are you really going to fly guys back to the United States or Canada to just play one game, potentially a one-and-out game in the middle of June? I mean, this all seems completely unlikely. And so I think that the biggest goal, no matter when it starts, is to play next 82 games of next season in full. And the question is, how and what will that look like?
Yeah, it's amazing to think of all the ramifications. It does make your head swim a little bit. And listen, just a disclaimer here: we're going to talk hockey, we're going to talk sports, we're going to have some fun, and we're going to kind of, when we're doing this show, we're at times just going to ignore the harsh realities of the world. So in that light, I will say that it does feel like a little bit of a curse that the Wild finally find this rising star in Kevin Fiala. They finally get hot. Looks like they're surging toward a playoff spot. The timing wasn't great for a hockey team.
No, absolutely not. It's not great for any of us. I mean, let's be honest here, but you're right. I mean, that was the excitement of this hockey season with the Wild, is that it just felt like this is the most consistent that we've ever seen a player play in my tenure covering this team, and all of a sudden it's just the rug's pulled out from under it, and we don't get to see where one, Dean Evison could take this team, but two, where Kevin Fiala could take this team. And so right now, we'll see how this affects him coming into next year. I mean, the one good news is that we all got to see this for the last 6 weeks. This guy play out of his mind hockey. It's kind of fitting that the last goal of the Wild season potentially was him scoring in overtime, after also scoring in regulation that game as well in Anaheim. And so, it is an absolute shame. But the reality is that if the league decides to just come back and start the postseason at some point, the Wild are theoretically 17th. They're 9th or 10th in the West, 1 point out, and that 1 point they would have had the tiebreaker. So they technically just one lost point this year. All those overtime losses at the beginning of the season, the blown game against Florida, the game in LA. All that did conceivably cost them a playoff spot if the league at some point has to come back and just play the current 16 teams.
Wow. Hey, we are going to be asking for Twitter questions as we go forward here. We're going to do some. Feel free to send in offbeat topics. Sometimes our best shows are when we get a little off track, talk about tangents and real life and things like that. And also remember that, hey, everybody's going to be hurting during this time. And of course, we feel great loyalty to the people who have sponsored us, have helped Talk North get off the ground. And, all these people have their own businesses. And if you can afford to support them, it would be greatly appreciated. Tin Shed has been hosting our shows for a while now, tinshedmn.com. And, really friendly people. They run a great operation. And of course, they've had to shut down their dining room. So I want you to know you can still get takeout. You can still get delivery. And Brian and Tin Shed are setting aside 25% of all sales made while their dining rooms are closed and gifting that to their employees to help them through the difficult time. These employees, I'm reading from the Tin Shed statement here, these employees rely on tips for a portion of their income, often work multiple jobs, have families at home to support, and is those who will be hit hardest without help. So, hey, if you live down in the Savage area and you can afford it, order takeout, order delivery, and tip well, and let's all take care of each other in this time. And hey, buy local and support people that are out there supporting their employees. So thanks to Tin Shed, and best of luck during this time.
On that point, that to me is the scariest thing of what's going on now, regardless of sports not happening, is the amount of people that just are not working. I have a lot of friends that either own restaurants or servers or bartenders in the service industry, in the hospitality industry, that are now not getting a paycheck. And the majority of us in the world don't have a nest egg sitting in a savings account. They work check to check. And especially restaurant owners. I mean, I think a lot of us just look at restaurant owners as like, oh, they've got a bunch of money. They bought a restaurant, but it is a hard job, a hard business to run. And they don't just have reserves of cash just sitting there. So I really fear that, obviously we all have to save our money, but I really do fear that if we don't support these businesses and don't support these employees that are now out of work, that when this all ends, that the majority of these restaurants are going to cease to exist. And so, it's just it's a scary time. I mean, I've gotten emails and texts from TV technicians and just think of the majority of people that work in trucks and do sound and the deliver the video that you see on your television screen when the Twins and the Marlins, when the Twins and the Wild and the Vikings and all them play, they're freelancers. So they are out of work right now. There is no sports. And, you think about all the concession people and things like that. I mean, the Wild are doing a great thing. All their players are going to at least pay these employees their last 6 paychecks of this hockey season. But XL Energy Center is dark right now. And so there's a majority of these people are not getting paid the other dates that they would have worked. And so it's a tough time. And I just think that we all have to try to do our part.
Absolutely, well said, and I certainly plan on doing that myself. And listen, we have good-hearted people who come to the shows and who follow us and tweet us and send us questions and stuff. And my hope is that everyone will try to take care of themselves. Let's do a little more hockey. Twitter question from Kevin O. With no hockey, what does a day in the life of Russo look like now?
I mean, a lot of trying to come up with story ideas and then how to execute it. I do hope that starting this upcoming week that teams are essentially going to be forced to make their players and staff available. Right now we've had no ability to talk to any Wild player. Obviously you could text, but I'm trying to respect the wishes of the Wild PR person that has texted me and said, please go through us on all requests. But the reality is that, people are quickly forgetting about sports, and you want to do something to keep your teams and in the news cycle in some capacity. So I'm hoping that starting next week, the NHL is essentially going to force these teams to make players available, and that appears to be the way that we are headed from everything that I hear through the Professional Hockey Writers Association. So that's one thing. But again, I'm doing a little exercise later to kind of help the Athletic guinea pig some things that we're trying to do. I don't want to give that away, but essentially I've been chosen as the writer to kind of act as a little trial guinea pig this afternoon on a story. And then, but again, I got a list of story ideas, and, I did a feature on Minnesota State a couple days ago. And the fact that, they were a team just like UMD and Cornell and University of North Dakota that was one of the favorites going into their conference tournaments, then potentially the NCAA tournaments, maybe go and try to win a national title. And all these seniors that we've seen nationwide that suddenly had their careers ended, and how devastating it was for those guys down in Mankato. I did that feature the other day. I'm still planning on getting that Brad Bombardier Q&A out. I've talked to a couple of other people this week about potentially doing stories on them next week. So we'll see. It's not fun. A lot of watching TV and getting scared of what's going on in this world. A lot of watching Curb Your Enthusiasm and Live PD and some of those ridiculous shows. But, yesterday I went out and took a walk. The other day I took a drive just to get out. Today I will say, it's like all of a sudden when you see New York and California shut down, that you're like, I better get some errands done. So, got to go pick up dry cleaning and things like that, just in case these people are forced to close. And it's been pretty boring. I did break my eyeglasses, so I did have to go to the eye doctor the other day, which, even when you go to an eye doctor, you're just, you're like, God, should I be out? Should I be 4 feet from a woman giving me an eye test? You just, it's a different world right now.
I've seen you do some things to hurt yourself. Were there any injuries involved with the breaking of the eyeglasses?
No, I don't know what happened. I had I think I told you back in January, my mom's dog chewed through one of the arms of my glasses. So I bought 2 new arms, and they finally came in. It took a long time because apparently these Ralph Lauren arms for eyeglasses are made in China. So it took forever to get in. So about 3 weeks ago, I finally had the arms put on my eyeglasses. And next thing I know, one of the arms fell off in my hand, but not in the place where you would think it would fall off. So it essentially permanently broke my eyeglasses. So, you're getting old too when the eye doctor's trying to talk you into bifocals. And she goes to me, and this is actually funny. She goes, I mean, doesn't it get annoying when you're covering a game and you're constantly, every time you look at your laptop, you're taking your eyeglasses off. And every time you're looking at the ice, you're putting your eyeglasses on. And then I told her the story about a couple years ago when I had my eyeglasses on my game notes. And I opened my game notes and my eyeglasses in the middle of the hockey game flew over the press box and into the club level at Xcel Energy Center. And somehow Carly Peters, the former PR person for the Wild, somehow found them during the third period. And I was able to cover the rest of the game. This is when I was still at the Strib, I believe. So this had to be pre-2017. But that was a horrifying moment. Like, it was absolutely, you couldn't see the ice. And I'm trying to cover a game.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that game ended in overtime with the Wild winning. That if I didn't have my eyeglasses back, I would not have known what would have happened. So.
Then Mr. Magoo, the hockey writer.
Yeah, exactly. So
I was just texting. I mean, not texting. Tweeting with Carly the other day. She's working for MLS, and we were all just chatting back and forth. Hey, I got more Twitter questions. Do want to thank Twill for being such a loyal sponsor for such a long time. It's Scott Dayton's shop in the Galleria in Edina. Edina Galleria, of course, is called. And one way you can support places like Twill, if you're not going to go out and shop, and I don't know how long any of us are going to be shopping anymore. If you listen, there's still open, but if you don't want to shop, you can always call them at 952-922-2711 and get a gift card. And whenever things get back to normal, you will have supported a business and you'll have a gift card waiting for you. Or you can buy a gift card for somebody else's birthday or just to brighten their mood or start stocking up for Christmas. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can support local businesses. Again, twillmn.com. You can go to twillmn.com and contact them via their email form, or you can just call them directly at 952-922-2711.
The person that asked a day in the life of Russo right now, I'm so bored. I actually am considering inviting Russo's slacks over to my house.
Oh well, then we need a video element of this show. We need to. If Russo slacks comes to your house, we will do a podcast. We'll find a way to make that available to the millions of people who would be interested in it.
The person I'm worried about is my mother, because all she does all day is watch the news. Ugh. And that is not healthy for any of us. It's really brutal. Is not. I mean, it just scares the heck out of you. And I mean, just to tell you how she's a glutton for punishment, like, I don't know about you. I have not looked at my 401ks. I've still one at the Strib that I never rolled over, and then I have the one at the Athletic, and I haven't looked at them. I don't want to know. But my mother calls me the other day, Jim, and she's like, I'm down $89,000. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And this is a great story that I told on a podcast yesterday, but my mother has an incredible gift. I mean, it totally, beyond generous gift. She furnished my house when I bought it. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I bought all my furniture at Furniture Mart, which is Ashley's, I think. Their cousin or sister, or they own each other. One owns the other. I don't know. And you could finance there, right? I think 5 years, no interest. And so my mom essentially is paying my furniture for 5 years, right? No interest. And I pulled from her account, and I said to her, I'm like, do you want me to stop doing that? Like, I don't mind. I could afford it. She's like, she goes, no, you've been very generous with me in your life. And then she pauses, like the perfect pause. And she goes, except with your time.
Oh man,
she still found a way to give me the shot to the heart.
I love it. You know what she should do? She should go on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee with Seinfeld. Yeah. That'd be a good conversation.
I'll never forget that as long as I live. You've been very generous with me in your life, except with your time. And then she calls me at like 7 a.m. the other day. I'm like fast asleep. It's not the hockey season. And I'm looking and it's like FaceTime. And I'm like, the only one that FaceTimes me is Lou Nanny, and that's always an accident, right? So, or every once in a while, Bruce Boudreau. And once in a while, my nephews. But my mom, so I call her like an hour later. I'm like, did you FaceTime me today? She goes, yes. I don't know if I'm ever going to see you again.
Oh.
And I'm just like, oh, my God. Oh. And you know what? It's funny. I can't even really FaceTime right now. Like, I have this, I hope it's not my phone. I have this, sort of screen protector thing on my phone that also doesn't, like, if somebody's to the right of me, they can't see what I'm texting type thing. And so right now when I like even turn the camera toward me, it's just like a cloud, which is the best way I look, by the way. But it's just like a cloud, so I can't even, like, whenever I do NHL Network, like FaceTime or Skype, I have to do it at my laptop because my phone does not allow me to turn the camera toward me because it's just one cloudy vision of a round, gross vision.
By the way, you mentioned you're breaking your glasses. You're rattling something, by the way, near your mic, so be careful with that.
Okay.
There's a kind of crinkling sound coming through. My youngest my puppy has discovered that my wife's eyeglasses taste really good. So destroyed 2 really nice pair of glasses in the last 24 hours. Nowadays, our guy is climbing on everything. And I mean, there's a reason we didn't get a cat. We got a dog. These dogs are supposed to stay on the ground. This dude is a mountain goat. So I'll be going to the optometrist soon myself. Hey, let's thank Grey Duck Vodka, our newest sponsor. And I tell you what, I am really enjoying the kind of after I get my work done cocktail at the end of the day these days. It is nice to have a bottle of Grey Duck Vodka around. It is Minnesota's vodka.
When we asked you to get the duck out, wow, did you respond? Grey Duck Vodka is now in over 1,500 locations and expanding every day. This is Chad Greenway, and I just want to say thank you for making Grey Duck Minnesota's vodka. With the wonderful ingredients from Minnesota farmers, Grey Duck is gluten-free and has won 3 gold medals for taste. For all upcoming events and a list of locations carrying Grey Duck, head to greyduckspirits.com.
Please drink responsibly. Grey Duck Spirits, LLC, Lakeville, Minnesota.
Get the duck out.
All right, Twitter questions. Richard from Minnesota. Since the NHL offseason has all but officially started, I guess it's time to take a look at what has happened since Bruce Boudreau got fired. The record has improved, but is that reason to not blow this team up, or are we really getting any better? Any thoughts on that?
Oh my God, the whole blow up question. All right, it took 1 second for me to get back into like my normal, just perturbed mood.
Angry mode. Good. That was the point.
I mean, again, how much more can they blow up this team? They got rid of 4 major players in the last 2 years. Like, the players that are on this team are pretty much stuck here. So, like, I don't know if now they could revisit the whole Zach Parise thing. But, he might want to. The one thing that this 12 or 13 games since Bruce left might have done is actually made him love playing here again. I mean, I can guarantee he loves playing with Kevin Fiala. Ryan Suter's going nowhere. Eric Stahl's got a year left. Mikko Koivu's done. They got a goaltending issue. Everything else doesn't need to be blown up. Like, I don't understand what fans expect here. This is the team. So now it's just a matter of they've cleared a ton of cap space, and now it's a matter of just building around that. They have a great player in Kevin Fiala that they could potentially build around here. They got one of the best top 4 Ds in the NHL. The one thing they are going to have to figure out this summer is now Carson Soucy will become an unrestricted free agent. Can they re-sign him? They're going to have to now overpay him because he's no longer going to be a restricted free agent because he didn't play his 80 games mandatory for a player that's over 25. So now that is the biggest question. And if that's the case, if there's a potential that you're going to lose Carson Soucy via free agency, whenever free agency or however free agency exists, now you don't want to trade Dumba or Brodin, most likely, especially Brodin if you're going to lose Soucy, because Soucy was the one that I think all of us envisioned that if they traded Brodin, Soucy would be the sort of the quasi replacement. So goaltending is the biggest thing that they're going to have to worry about this summer going into next season. If this season doesn't ends the way it is, they are going to have to fix their goaltending situation in some capacity. Again, though, that we don't know what the offseason is going to look like, when the offseason is going to start, if they pull the plug on the season, when that's going to happen. And then if that's the case, how much time GMs are going to have to get going into whenever next season starts on improving a situation like the goaltending, signing a free agent or making a trade. Is Capo Kakkonen the goalie of the future that could start next year? He had a great year. His season ended prematurely with a broken hand, unfortunately. But do you trust going into next season with Kakkonen or Stalock? I don't know if that's the right decision to make at this point. I don't think it is. The one thing that this team has shown the last 12 games is that there's, very, very good when Kevin Fiala is playing well. So I think that you'd want to probably go and get yourself a goaltender for a couple of years.
Yeah, makes sense. Hey, Justin Banks asks, would the drop dead date for this season have to be around June 1st if they want to have any sort of an off season?
Yeah, I've got to think. I mean, this whole the players came up with a plan of maybe continuing the regular season and having the playoffs in August and September, and then maybe having sort of an October free agency draft period, and then start the next season in November. I just don't buy that. I just don't think that's realistic. So I do think that June 1st is the drop dead date, and maybe before. Look, I mean, these players get paid till mid-April. And so there comes a point also where if it just looks like that states are going to continue to be essentially under, for lack of a better term, under lockdown, I just don't know how you could continue to really make sure that this is even a possibility with players off in their own lands and doing whatever, and then eventually having to try to get them back here. Then how realistic is it to really I think it's out of the question that the NBA and the NHL are just going to be able to reschedule their final 12 to 13 or 14 or 15 or whatever it is regular season games. So how then do you decide who's in the playoffs? Do you have a play-in schedule? And then the play-in to me makes no sense. Are you just going to suddenly in June get 23 Wild players back here and say, all right, best 2 out of 3 to try to get into the playoffs? I mean, it's bizarre. And even if you do that, are you going to be playing in front of fans? So I just think that there's just going to come a point where they're going to have to pull the plug, and that's just my gut feeling on that.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you. From Zepper.
And the other thing here is then how does this affect next season? Because I'm telling you, right. It's going to affect the salary cap. These players, when I say they're getting paid, they're really not. Okay. I mean, remember, revenue, these players get a 50-50 split with the owners in terms based on league revenue. So right now, the last 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks of the season, there's no revenue coming in. So all this money is going into escrow, and these players are not going to get that back. I mean, that's just the harsh reality of math. So a lot of these players, even though we're saying they're getting paid, they're really not. They lose their salary in taxes, and then they're going to lose their salary in escrow.
Damn. Zepper and RW asked questions about all this that I think you've already answered. Wild Trader asked, with all the extra time at home, what amazing online purchases has Russo made? This is the most important question in the podcast.
I really haven't bought anything yet, other than I had a Whole Foods delivery the other day, which was kind of convenient that you don't have to go grocery shopping. You cannot buy anything right now. Like it's crazy. Like you can't find paper towels. I was just on Whole Foods again, just trying to buy like things like turkey and lettuce and things like that, and even that's all pretty much out of stock. So. It's scary times right now.
It is. From Frozen Wookie asks, before we get to him, I do want to thank Fixology Repair, fixologyrepair.com. I've been talking to John Hedges, our friend who runs the Fixology Repairs, the one at Mall of America, downtown Minneapolis, downtown St. Paul. He said that they've had to halt operations. They hope to reopen again as soon as possible to get back to work. So just keep Fixology Repair in mind when we get back to normal, whatever's going on. Just remember that Fixology Repair was there for us for a long time. We had a great relationship with them. A lot of people met John when he came to the live shows. So Fixology Repair, fixologyrepair.com. They're not open right now, but keep an eye out for when they do reopen and keep them in mind. And we do appreciate everything they've done for us. From Frozen Wookie, please tell us how your article feedback scale works on The Athletic. Is it meh, solid, awesome? Inquiring minds want to know.
I really don't know, and I really don't pay attention. Basically, there's like a rating system that we get in our metrics that I think is basically 0 to 100, and however they do it, those awesomes, those solids, those mehs, based on how many people engage with the story and things like that, it comes out with some sort of calculation that we get next to each story, where it tells us how many people read it, or maybe how many subscribers the story generated or things like that, and then it has that score. I never look at it. I also don't really understand it, and I will say also, that score is sort of based on what fans also think of the subject you're writing about. So like if you're doing a mailbag, a lot of people will just like it because it's full of information, but you don't know if that's the best story you've ever written. If you're writing a game story on a loss, it could be the best game story you've ever written, but most people are going to be like, meh. So, it really is hard to really distinguish exactly what causes somebody to score a story the way it is. But it makes for some fun reader feedback and fun reader engagement that the fans get to actually sit there and do stuff. And that's, one of the coolest things at The Athletic is that we try to engage with the readers. We try to have this community where and we're going to be doing a lot of that this year. I mean, I can tell you that right now we're picking the Minnesota Hall of Fame, and you can go on the Athletic MIN Twitter account to vote, or go to theathletic.com and go to the link and vote. Next year is the 20th year anniversary of the Minnesota Wild, we hope. In that, we're going to be sitting there and doing all sorts of things where the readers can help me pick, say, the top 50 or 100 Minnesota Wild players ever. So we're going to be doing a lot of things that kind of engage the readers here. That was something we were going to do. That was my idea before this obviously pandemic that started, though I think we're going to try to do a lot more of that now to just, keep our readers. I mean, it's a scary time for The Athletic. The Athletic exists because sports exists, and right now sports doesn't exist. And so, our hope is that our readers stay with us, and we're going to have so much good content here during this little hiatus for all of us. And then again, sports is going to come back. This will all end at some point, and sports will come back, and we'll be there to tell those stories. And we hope that our readers will continue to be there for us. Right now, we have a 90-day free offer too for new subscribers, and then current subscribers can actually at The Athletic to figure out a way to also get some sort of credit as well.
From Joe Rogers, how crazy is it that the NHL may finally avoid a lockout for the first time in 25 plus years, yet Kaprizov's first season in Minnesota might still get delayed as a result of the global pandemic? You can't make it up.
Well, remember when it looked like the CBA was going to be reworked, there was a chance that there could be a work stoppage starting next season. And for the years, I was always saying, can you imagine, he winds up re-signing the KHL because he was worried that he either would have to wind up in Iowa or not play in the NHL. And now all of a sudden everything's off the table here on what's going to happen with this, with next season, when the season starts and all that stuff. So the hope is that none of this stuff, stops Kaprizov from coming over here.
You know what I was just thinking? We're recording this show. Yesterday we did Roy Smalley and Jeff Diamond. We're going to do Cheryl Reed later. It's really nice during a pandemic to have people to talk to like this. I hope other people enjoy listening to us, because this is actually a treat for me, just to sit here and talk to intelligent human beings.
Well, I don't know about intelligent, but human beings.
Yeah. Well, you qualify. There we go. Todd Simonson has a good question. Let me thank Tony Hoagland, Hoaglund. Tony is handling my insurance. He's handling Michael's insurance.
Every team knows that the two-point play can be a winning move. That's why State Farm agent Tony Hoagland and his team are here to help you go for two by combining your home and auto insurance. It's a great call that saves you time and money. So go for the win and score savings by combining your home and auto. It's just another way we're here to help life go right. Call State Farm agent Tony Hoagland at 763-421-4900 or online at champlaininsurance.com.
From Todd Simonson, during the coach, and this is a good insider question, during the coach post-game press conferences, why do Fox and KFan end it at the same point, even when you can tell more questions are being asked? For example, the press conference is still going on and both outlets ended at the same point. Any idea on that one?
No, I didn't know that that's the case. I mean, I'm sure everything's based on time constraints for their broadcast, but I don't know. I don't know why KFan, and if it's true that KFan and Fox Sports North ended at the exact same time, I don't know if that's just the audio that's delivered to them, or if there's a certain maybe there's a certain time limit that they're allowed to show a press conference. I don't know. What I'd suggest is at Radio Falness, Falness, and he might be able to answer that question for you much better.
All right, cool.
Because it would surprise me that it would be the exact same, but he would know.
Yeah. Sure. From ND guy living in Texas, why did the Wild tear up the ice at the X? Did they?
Yeah, I saw a video of that. I mean, I'm sure that since it's very unknown when we're ever going to see hockey again, I mean, it's just the cost to keep that thing refrigerated. So if there's hockey again, they'll just put it back in.
So I'm going to ask you a question based on something I wrote for the Star Tribune on Friday. I just wrote about the fact that because of the crisis, I didn't get to go to spring training for the first time since 1992, and I really missed it. But I didn't miss it for the reasons fans might think you would miss it. I missed it more because of the kind of the camaraderie around a baseball camp, the working conditions, the relaxed nature of spring training, the fact that the Twins are pretty good people to deal with, and I have a lot of friends who work throughout the organization. I kind of missed all that. So my question for you to wrap up this show is what do you miss the most about hockey that fans might not recognize as something you would miss about doing your job?
Same thing, the camaraderie with your other colleagues, the other media members, the broadcasters, certain players. And I miss covering the games. I mean, to me, the best part of this job is definitely know what's going on now. I love covering hockey, and I love reporting from a standpoint of, writing good features and things like that, but having a reason to write these stories, and that's based on the fact that you're kind of you're writing a book throughout the season that at some point is going to have an ending that all of us don't know what it is, and you don't get to do that now. So that's what sucks. I mean, I love nothing more than going into the press box at night and kind of sitting there before the game, watching warm-ups, that whole act. I mean, even when I go to a Twins game, when I'm sitting in the stands, I find myself staring at the press box, looking at what the reporters are doing before the game, during the game. And that's been my life for forever now. And, we talked about joking about the jobs. There's this big thing going around the internet right now, your top 5 jobs that you've ever, or your first 5 jobs that you've ever had. I've never had any other job. I mean, I when I was 15, I was a paper boy when I was 11 or 12. That doesn't count. In fact, I think my parents spent more money on the papers than me collecting money from the subscribers, because I was back when the paper boy actually had to go and collect money from everybody's houses, and you knock on the door and they're like, "We'll pay you next week." Well, yeah, but my parents just fronted the newsdays, so I could really use the money to pay them back right now. And then and then my second job was at 14 or 15 years old, probably 15, I guess, legally, as a store clerk and reshop guy at Toys R Us when I was a teenager. And I quit the day that the toilet overflowed, and it was the most disgusting scene ever. And the manager of the store gave me a mop and told me to clean it up. And that's when I just decided, all right, I don't think this job's for me anymore. And then my next job was as a sports writer. So I really haven't done anything else unless you include camp counselor and unit head up in upstate Georgia. So really, this is all I know. And so that's what you miss. You miss the day-to-day. And it's funny, I said this to John Krasinski yesterday, who also, you do the You Betcha show with him. But I said to him, Jim, that there are times that when you've done this as long as I have, I mean, this is, I've been a sports writer covering hockey for 25 years, but I mean, again, I started at age 15. So I've done this a long, long time. There are days you start to really imagine, like, man, what it would be like to just retire and not have to travel around the country anymore and, get on airplanes and go to the airport and all that stuff that comes when you get older. And then you all of a sudden, 2 days without hockey, you realize how much you would absolutely hate life. It really would be just a different, it makes you realize, like, holy mackerel, what the heck would I do with the rest of my life? So it kind of makes you, the one thing I think about this pandemic that at least it's doing for me is making me realize how much I actually love this job. And I cannot wait for it to get back to normal, where I'm not sitting there and, writing about, coming up with story ideas on stuff that, to me doesn't have a ton of interest.
Well, hold that thought, because as the weeks and months go by And if we don't have hockey, we're going to end up talking about journalism. We're going to end up talking about how our careers got started. And, when we've been doing the show, seriously, we've been doing the show for a long time now, and we've touched on things like that before, but we haven't touched on some of those things for like 4 or 5 years. So I think we're going to pick out topics that allow us to just tell stories. We'll certainly keep people updated on whatever we're hearing behind the scenes. What Michael had to say about the NHL made a lot of sense to me, and I really haven't heard that elsewhere. So we'll keep you updated. We'll tell stories. We'll take Twitter questions. We'll tackle some oddball questions. Next week, I'll tell you what my first 5 jobs were, and you probably won't know what any of them are. So we'll keep this rolling. We'll try to have fun with it. We'll try to keep you informed. We do appreciate everybody who has listened to the network. And, if somebody's out there stuck at home looking for something to do, tell them to check out Talk North. We have a massive amount of content, including a bunch of new outdoor content through Ron Shara Productions. We hope to keep you entertained, and we do appreciate you supporting us. So for Michael Russo and Brandon Morton, I'm Jim Suhan, and we will talk to you next week.
Pretty little city built on a hillside. Music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice. And I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive